Let's have a look at the operating modes of the system and a little bit at the buttons on the control panel. So the initial operating mode that comes up when you first run up the GUI is what we call user mode, and the user button is therefore active on the GUI, and the background in this mode is this sort of light blue colour to let you know that you're in user mode. And in this mode you can turn outputs on or off, or you can turn things like lights and heaters up or down in setting, but you can't really do anything too structural. Whereas in manager mode, if I click on the manager button, the background turns this sort of straw colour. In manager mode, this is really for setting up and configuring the system, so you can do things like moving devices around on the screen. You can connect them to each other, so you can connect up sensors to outputs such as lights or heaters, and do much more of a configuration job at a more detailed level. Just looking at the control panel again, if I go from left to right, there is a button under this little LED here, this green LED. The green indicates that I'm currently connected to the system. If I was to click it, I would break the connection with the system. And if this LED comes up grey, it means that the GUI can't at this present time connect up to the gateway, so it means there's a connectivity problem. User and manager we've already covered. If I click on the units button, that brings up a panel listing every unit, the serial numbers and some diagnostic information on every unit in the system. The test button becomes active in manager mode, and that brings up a panel which allows me to turn all the units, on a given unit, it allows me to turn all the outputs on or all the outputs off, or it does an emergency light testing function with a timer that allows you to do an emergency light test on a given unit. This button in the middle here the function depends on which mode you're in. In manager mode it's called the group button, and we'll come on to that later. It's when you want to create groups of devices to do a common thing. In user mode it's the switch button, and that, when there is a device selected, allows you to turn outputs on or off. We've already covered the zoom feature, so just moving on from that, the log button is really a diagnostic tool. Again, it just takes a quick snapshot of some of the diagnostic information to check for performance issues, which we're not going to cover just now. The details button becomes active again in manager mode when a device is selected, and that's a very important button because it opens up a panel, a sub-panel, which is different for each device, and allows you to select the kind of device that's connected to the system, whether it's a light or a particular kind of sensor or a heater, and allows you to set parameters, and we'll cover that in future videos. And then finally, another button that only becomes active in manager mode is the TerOpta logo, and although it doesn't look like a button, if you click on it, it will open up a file explorer window and allow you to select things like a software upload file system to upgrade the software and functions like that. So in the next video we'll start to look at some of the device types and what they do.